What's happening, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the RDG Sports Channel. Get a round of applause, please. Thank you. I'm nothing without you guys, as I always say in every video. Nothing without you guys. Thank you for the new subscribers that have joined me. I appreciate you. Shout out to you guys. You guys are the real MVP. I want to talk about Ron Rivera and what grade would you guys give him the last 3 seasons that he's been help picking these players that he's had drafted. I want to highlight 4 players that I think that, it's kind of had injuries along with those guys. Those guys been inconsistent. One of those 4 guys is not even here anymore. And I want to start off with Shaka Toney. I know I'm late. Everybody already read about him. Everybody's saying the news, but I want to share my perspective on Mr. Shaka Toney. Now I want to read this quick story right here that they had on Shaka Toney. The NFL announced suspension for several NFL players Friday for gambling violations. Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney was among those suspended. Toney, 25, is entering his 3rd season out of Penn State. He was one of 3 players suspended indefinitely at least 1 year for betting on games during the 2022 NFL season. Toney can apply for reinstatement after the 2023 season is over with. A 7th-round pick in 2021, Toney has played in 26 career games for Washington, recording 16 total tackles and 1.5 sacks. Toney was a reserve defensive end, but contributed on special teams. Toney's suspension likely doesn't change anything regarding Washington's draft plans. He wasn't guaranteed to make the 2023 roster, and with multiple defensive ends slated for free agency after next season, the Commanders are expected to target at least 1 pass rusher in next week's 2023 NFL draft. Shaka Toney. I don't know what your finances is like, but you blew a golden opportunity. Can you bounce back from this? Sure you can. But is it going to be tough? Yeah, it's going to be extremely tough. Because for one, you was a reserve player. It wasn't like you was one of those guys that was heavily contributing to this team. So it's going to be an uphill climb for you. I wish you well. I hope you get on with another team, but you blew a golden opportunity. I wish you well, man. Now, the 4 players that I've picked out of Ron Rivera's tenure here of drafting players. I want to start off with Antonio Golden Gandy. This guy was 6'4", had all the tools. He lacked speed, had a great catch radius. Put it in anywhere in the zone, and he would catch it. Anywhere in his vicinity, and he's going to catch it. But the guy just couldn't put it all together. He was injury prone. The guy's head wasn't in the game all the way to me. If you ask me, his head wasn't all the way in the game. He was supposed to be brought here to be like a number 2 wide receiver, but he didn't pan out. And then they switched him to tight end. That didn't pan out. Then they cut him, brought him back. That didn't pan out. He decided he wanted to retire and go back to school, whatever. But this guy, that was a story that just didn't sit well with me. I remember when they drafted him and they was all hyping him up. I thought, me personally, I never thought that he was gonna be any like a Randy Moss type of player, because he had Randy Moss size, but he didn't have Randy Moss speed. But I never thought he was going to be a great player. I just thought he was going to be an average to good player, but he had an upside, but it just didn't pan out. He just couldn't put it all together. And sorry for that guy. I hope he does well in life. He went back to school, getting a scholar's degree, I guess. So, I wish him well. Wish him nothing but the best. Samuel Cosme, whatever his name is. This guy cannot stay healthy. This guy, when they didn't brought back Trent Williams, and they was looking to get another left tackle. Samuel Cosme, I thought he was gonna, pan out. I didn't think he was gonna be on Trent Green's level, but I thought he was gonna be at least a good player. It remains to be seen. They talking about moving him inside, which they should. He's probably fit the inside more better than he does the outside. He's not strong enough to be on that outside. That outside is mean. You gotta have quick feet, quick hands to go against those physical pass rushers. Those guys, top end speed guys on that defensive end. Those guys are gunning and coming. Those guys not holding back, and you got to be able to withstand that bull rush that those guys are coming with. And unfortunately for Samuel Cosby, he just couldn't sustain that. That's why he needs to go inside. He needs to go inside, and hopefully he does well right there. If he don't, he'll just be a backup behind the boy Wiley. He'll be a backup. Next player, De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown's another one that just can't put it all together yet. It remains to be seen with him. He's inconsistent. He need to work on his hands and his route running. If he could do those two things, I think De'Ami Brown could pan out. That's one that's a question mark. He's a big old question mark. De'Ami Brown has all the tools that you need to succeed in the NFL as a wide receiver, at least a number 2 or number 3. But so far, he's down on the depth chart because we got Curtis Samuels and we got Jahan Dotson. Of course, Terry McLaurin is number 1. De'Ami Brown, he can rotate between Curtis Samuel and himself. You know what I'm saying? When they go 4 wides, he's definitely could be on the field. Depending on if they draft someone, another wide receiver, which I highly doubt it, unless they get him in the later rounds. They're definitely not drafting wide receiver in the top 4 rounds. Definitely. So if they get somebody in the later rounds that contribute on special teams or whatever, and maybe if they pan out to be good, maybe they could take De'Ami Brown's spot. Maybe they could take some of his playing time. You just never know with these guys coming out of college. But De'Ami Brown, I know one thing for sure, buddy. You need to step your game up. You need to go out there and you need to catch at least 500 to 1,000 balls per day. You need to go work with Sam Howell. Speaking of Sam Howell, I think, and De'Ami Brown, that's an interesting factor because they both played at North Carolina and they both had great chemistry with each other. So maybe, just maybe, Sam Howell can rejuvenate his career. Something to think about. Last but not least, Chase Young. Chase Young is the ultimate X factor on that defense. If Chase Young could somehow muster what he had his first season, his rookie season, we could be on to something. A lot of people, I've been seeing trade rumors. I'm not believing that because management didn't come out and say it. The coaching staff didn't come out and say it. So I'm not going to believe that. I'm going to shut those rumors down right now on this page right here. We're not thinking about trading Chase Young. He has an upside, tremendous upside. I think he has more upside than Montez Sweat. That's just my personal opinion. Montez Sweat, I think he already reached this ceiling. Chase Young remains to be seen because of the injuries and stuff like that. He need to get more technique. He need to get more moves. If he can develop more moves and work on his technique, I think Chase Young could be that generational player that we need on that side of the ball, on that defensive line. And I think if he pans out and he hone in on the skills and stuff like that, I think he's worth the bag. And I think you got to move on for Montez Sweat because Montez is going to want that bag. You can't pay 4 players on that defensive line. You can't pay them all the money. Somebody got to go. And if I had to pick my pick, I stated in another video, I'm choosing Chase Young. I'm sorry. We're not trading Chase Young. We're going to stay fat. We're going to hold fast on that one. I understand why Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew didn't want to give him that 5th-year option. I get it because of the injuries. And he only had that 1 year. Now it's a prove it season right here. If you could prove that you could do this, you could stay healthy, and you worked on your game, and you getting 10 sacks, at least 10 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, some pass deflections and stuff like that, they got to give you the bag because that showed progression, and that showed that you're back all the way. Now they could trust you. Now they could pay you. Anyway, I'm happy that you guys had joined me. And I thank you for tuning in. Like I said, thank you to the new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. Tune in on the next episode, and I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Peace.